Good morning, children. In our previous class, we started the Christmas truce. Hope you remember that. Just we will have a glance on that and then we will continue our lesson. So, do you remember what is this truce? Yes, it's agreement. Then the Christmas truce. During Christmas time, an agreement made between two soldiers. Okay, two set of soldiers. Here, one side is German soldiers, and the other side the British soldiers were there. Okay, so this British and German soldiers celebrated Christmas together, and it's a memorable incident. Okay, so hope you remember the theme of this lesson. Is it? What is the theme of it? That is the beauty of unlikely friendship and fellowship. Beauty. So usually we will not make friendship with enemies, is it? Here they are making friendship with their enemy soldiers. So only it is given that unlikely friendship and fellowship. That is here it become a beautiful, memorable incident. Okay, so we understand the situation. Is it German soldiers on the other side and the British soldiers on the other side, in between a land called no man's land, and both the side is covered by barbed wire fences, and they were inside the trenches. Trenches means the dugouts. They make narrow holes and they will be inside with a roof covered over it. Okay, so they were inside the trenches, and I told you the situation. So it's raining continuously. So if it rains, the water will collect inside the trenches, and they have to pull out with a pot or a pan to remove all the water from the trenches, and totally it was muddy, and wherever they keep their leg, what happened, it spatters, cakes everything and sucks at their boot. Okay, this all things we have learned in our previous class. So now we are going to see the continuation of that class. So how they celebrated the Christmas, I told you the circumstances and the situation, and now we can see how that they started to celebrate that memorable incident. We can see through all this we could not help feeling curious meaning strange, about the German soldiers across the way. After all, they faced the same dangers we did and slogged about the same muck. Okay, here this soldiers, they are feeling, the British soldiers and German soldiers, they were nearby, and what are the difficulties the German soldiers are facing, same thing the British soldiers were also facing. This both the soldiers, because they were nearby. If it rains in the German side, if it also rains in the British side. Okay, so it is said that the same thing, that all the difficulties both the soldiers were facing, and what's more, their first trench was only 50 yards from ours. Between us lay no man's land, bordered on both sides by barbed wire, yet they were close enough we sometimes heard their voices. So Seema, they were very much nearby. So the distance between the first trench of the British soldier and the German soldiers only nearly 50 yards. So if whatever they are talking in the German side, British soldiers can hear. Whatever they are talking in the British side, German soldiers can hear. Okay, so it's audible. Of course, we hated them when they killed our friends, but other times we joked about them and almost felt we had something in common, and now it seems they felt the same. Okay, so when they are telling us their enmity is between them. Why? What is the reason of the enmity? That soldiers were killing this side the soldiers, and from this side the soldiers were killing their soldiers. So that is the enmity in between them. So whenever the enmity is there, but they are feeling that there is something common between the British soldiers and the German soldiers. What is that? They are feeling that, see, whatever difficulties German soldiers are facing, the same thing the German soldiers are facing too. Okay, so just yesterday morning, Christmas Eve day, we had our first good freeze. Yesterday morning, Christmas Eve day. So yesterday morning means that is 24th evening. That day, Christmas Eve day. Christmas Eve day means December 24. We had our first good freeze. That means they are not fighting. Okay, so cold as we welcomed it, because at least the mud froze solid. So what happened? So that day, Christmas Eve means you can see everywhere snow. All this mud were covered with the snow. It's better to stamp on snow than on that clay, is it? So they were happy, they are welcoming the Christmas season. Everything was tinged white with the frost. Everywhere it was covered with the snow, while a bright sun shone over everything. Perfect Christmas weather. Okay, so everything was covered with the snow, and also when the sun shine a bit, they feel that it was the perfect Christmas weather. During the day, there was little shelling, so or rifle from each other side. There was little shooting sound, and they were throwing bombs, only little. Considering other days, comparing other days, they are having only less. There was a little shelling or rifle. Then, and as darkness fell on our Christmas Eve, the shooting stopped entirely. So evening, 24th evening, as it is a Christmas Eve, totally they stopped shooting at each other. Our first complete silence in months. For few days continuously, few months, they were continuously fighting, killing each other. But this is the first time they stopped. That is our complete silence in the month. We hoped it might promise a peaceful holiday, but it didn't count on it. We had been told the German might attack and try to catch us off guard. So it is there was complete silence, but the British soldiers, the captain, they give an warning that don't be very careless, because anytime they can attack you, so you should be very careful and be aware of that. Like that, they were given some instructions. I went to the dugout to rest and lying on my coat. So he went inside, because it was the complete silence, so no shooting or anything. So this man, the British soldier, his name is Tom. Okay, so he went into his dugout and he was lying on his cot. I must have drifted asleep a little bit. He started to sleep, that is, he is asleep. All at once, my friend John was shaking me awake, saying, "Come and see what the Germans are doing." So at that time, who came there? John. Who is John? He's the friend of Tom, the British soldiers who is writing the letter. That meant Tom. So friend of Tom, only John. He came there and he was shaking awake. And what did he see? Say, "Come and see what the Germans are doing." Okay, come and see what they are doing. Okay, like that was calling. So they're doing. I grabbed my rifle, then stumbled out into the trench and stuck my head cautiously above the sandbags. Cautiously means very carefully, because anytime from anywhere they can shoot at him. So very carefully, with his rifle in his hand, he jumped out of the trenches and he safely hid behind the sandbags, and cautiously means very carefully, just raised his head above that sandbag, and he was looking out. I never hoped to see a stranger and more lovely sight. When he saw that, he felt, he said it was very beautiful sight, and he never thought such a beautiful scene he was going to see. Clusters of tiny lights were shining all along the German line, left and right, as far as his eyes could see. So, to each side, to how much distance he can see, both side also it was decorated. So, also tiny lights were there, and it was very beautiful sight. So during Christmas, see, all our house we will decorate with lights. So wherever we are seeing, it was decorated with lights. That Christmas crib will be there, Christmas trees they will decorate. Everything is there. But in the battlefield, it's a strange things to see. Nobody will decorate a battlefield for Christmas, is it? But here, during Christmas, the German soldiers decorated even the battlefield with lights. So, it's a strange feeling and very beautiful to look at. Strange means it's an unusual thing to see. So, what is it? I asked in bewilderment, and John answered, Christmas trees. So, what is this? What they are decorated like that? The British soldier is asking his friend John, and he is answering, Christmas trees. Yes, they are keeping Christmas trees in front of their trenches, and they have decorated it with lights. And so it was. The German had placed Christmas trees in front of their trenches, lit by candle or lantern, like beacons of goodwill. Okay, so they decorated that area with lights. Okay, ma. So everywhere it was decorated and with lights, candles, whatever they are having in their hand, in front of their houses, trenches, they had just kept the planted a Christmas tree, and they decorated with whatever they are having in their hand. And then we heard them singing. Not only they decorated the place, but also they have just started to sing. Okay, that means that they started to celebrate their Christmas. So still natured, Hillit natured, that is in German language. So that means that silent night, holy night, like that, a song they started to sing. So the carol means it is a religious song. Usually we will sing during Christmas. Okay, so I have never heard one lovelier or more meaningful in that quiet, clear night, its darkness often by a first quarter moon. So that song, Silent Night, that holy night, that song is very meaningful song and perfect song for that night, very much suitable for that night to celebrate that Christmas, that they are singing that song. This carol may not be familiar to the Briton, but John knew it and translated. When they sing in German language, it is not familiar for the British soldiers, because British soldiers know only English. So it is not familiar for many of the soldiers. As this soldier John knew this German language, he translated it into English. So when the song finished, the men in our trenches applauded. What's the meaning of applauded? Applauded means clap their hands. Yes, British soldiers applauded Germans. So now they forget all their enmity and they started to praise. Okay, so that means they applauded each other. Then one of our own men started singing, and we all joined in. When the German soldiers stopped singing, British soldiers applauded, and one of the British soldiers started to sing another song. The first novel, The Angels Did Say. In truth, we sounded not clearly as good as German with their fine harmonies, but they responded with enthusiastic applause of their own, and then began another. So you might understand this. See, when the German soldiers stopped singing, German soldiers started to sing another song. Like that, they started to enjoy the Christmas or celebrate the Christmas, forgetting all the enmity between them, and here starts that unlikely friendship. So it's not over here. Again, many beautiful incidents happen, memorable incident happens. All those things we will see in our next class. So hope you remember all these things, and remaining we will see in our next class, children. Thank you.